Actually, when you came in, I liked you, despite the fact that you were a pain in the ass.
Nah, let me stop. White Stone to see a classic movie to be, but too young were we for Bruce Willis stories. Still your best, I'm nice, sorry. Sixth Sense was the
podcasts
movie,
and stuff. That's how I start. Totally unprofessional.
Okay, that's me.
But who am I here with today?
Well, I'm Dave Sebald, a very famous music teacher and professor from the University of Texas at San Antonio, and now retired.
Living the life.
Yeah. Retired after 25 years there, and actually after 50 years of education at various places. So, a long history. Now I'm happy. Now I'm retired and can do anything I want.
Yeah. Damn. So what was I'm trying to think. There's many ways I could start this, but I'll start with me first.
Okay.
I guess. How do we know each other, or do I need to say that?
Well, sure. Do you want me to respond to that?
Because I want to hear your interpretation of it.
This real pain in the ass guy came into my class once, uncontrollable. You know.
That's why I wanted you to tell it.
But you know, he was real interested in what he was doing and motivated to do stuff. That's how we got acquainted.
Yeah.
Always were a pain in the ass. Did you work for me, incidentally?
Yeah.
Sometimes
I
I
started
forget
with
those
you,
things.
and then the next semester, you and Cindy, and then it kept going till
I
finally left many years.
Yeah. Well,
Ralph told me he likes to take the credit. He said he convinced you for you to hire me. I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh yeah. You know, Ralph's a Puerto Rican too.
Yeah. So it was the blood. You gotta help the family.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. But God, I don't know. Actually, when you came in, I liked you, despite the fact that you were a pain in the ass. I mean, a lot of kids come in and they're docile and they want to be taught, and they have no aggressiveness. They don't aggressively pursue their interests, and you did.
Yeah.
And you were a challenge, but that's good. I mean, you challenged me in a lot of ways, and always questioned things, again, which is good. I mean,
yeah.
Real teachers like that. They don't like students who are docile and cow-like. So I appreciate it.
Around that time, it was only, I believe the class started, and it was a spring semester. And
what year was this?
That I'm not gonna know. I just know it's spring because like my first introduction to any of that world you were teaching, like MIDI and all that stuff, like I had only played guitar, but I really wanted to get into that world, and I signed up for your class, but it didn't start soon enough. So it's Christmas time, and I got my first MIDI keyboard, the Axiom 61.
Oh, yeah.
And things were different back then, so like that was like my main present that year. So my mom and my sister teamed up with me. I even had to pay for that. And we got it. We all three teamed up for me to get my keyboard. So then I started Reason a few weeks before I started your class. So I had like a baby head start, but with that, and can't remember if YouTube was as strong back then, but there was probably something on YouTube too that helped a little bit. So by the time your class finally started, maybe like middle of January, I had like a little bit of a head start.
Yeah.
So,
well, again, you knew what you wanted to pursue. I don't know. It would be interesting to hear your reactions as to whether or not you learned what you thought you were going to learn, because a lot of people, even at that time, were coming into the class thinking that this was some kind of a commercial music class.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't. Where it came from was from music education. I was always interested in music education, and we were starting to get into technology for music ed at that time, and so that was my main interest.
Yeah.
And then eventually I saw that, hey, this thing's really taken off in the commercial world. A lot of synthesis now, and a lot of application of sequencers and that type of thing. And I tried to keep up with it for a number of years. And finally, when I began to see that, hey, if you want to do this stuff, you got to get out in the professional world and just do it.
Yeah.
So I finally hired a couple of guys who really knew that part of the world, in Chris Klein and Stephen Krause. And they were great. I mean, that's probably the best thing I ever did for that department, was hire those two guys.
Even though their stories there end up being not the easiest, but
well,
I mean,
yeah, they expected it to be more like a commercial music establishment, and it really wasn't. And at this point in time, this is 3 or 4 years after they've both left, and it's gone back a little bit to more of an experimental music. But they still, I mean, with Andy Bergman now, who teaches
he's
it.
the comp guy, right?
Yeah, he's a composition person.
So I had gone back to be a comp major for a year, which didn't work out. But I mean, I think he comes right when I leave, so I think we didn't really get to interact. It was more, my main interaction with him was more, I think, when he was auditioning, if you want to call it that, to be there, when he was trying out.
Yeah.
But so I never really got to interact with him much.
Well, he's actually done a pretty good job for somebody who's not a commercial music person. I mean, he's really worked hard at it and kept the standards up pretty well.
That's good.
So
yeah, you asked me if I learned what I wanted, and I think the main thing I got at that time, because now it's everybody has a studio, even if it's just a laptop, but everybody has a studio at home. But at that time, I think it was only like the precipice of that. So I had a MIDI keyboard, and that was it. So like, what the whole class provided me more of was, like, I think an environment to do that.
Yeah.
To both meet some people, because not everybody wanted to make music. I quickly learned that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it provided that environment, and it provided like all this stuff I didn't have at home, and then primarily, especially at that time, the mic. That was a big thing. So like, maybe not as much in the class, that because once I started doing it on your own, you end up taking your own pace. But it still had like a good environment, and at that time the cards were 24 hours too. So that helped a lot. Yeah, because Jesus was back then, and all of us, and even James was way more interested than by the time he finishes. He lost interest by the time, but at that point, and we would just spend like days, like unreasonable amounts of time in there.
You and a bunch of other people. I would come in the morning and find people asleep on the chairs. You know?
I remember at finals, James, like, I stayed till 8 a.m. and I remember James just like, well, I have class today, so I'm gonna just stay.
Jeez. I knew what was going on, and I just, knowing that I was from a different background than the guys who really wanted to do this professionally. But still, I respected what you guys did, and was very interested in it. I was always interested in the kind of music that you were doing, even though it was strange to me. But, you were being creative, and that's the name of the game.
You always had a more, in everything you had a more open mind, and like, more open to like, hey, this is where the world is going. Yeah. Versus maybe the rest of the department, not so much.
Well, you gotta understand that music departments and even universities are terribly conservative institutions. I'm not talking politically. Yeah. I'm talking about the fact that they basically teach what they were taught to teach, and the people who taught them were taught to teach by their teachers, and it just goes back. And so no wonder we're still teaching 18th century counterpoint in these institutions, and we're not teaching popular music, songwriting, things like that. Only a very few of the institutions are doing that yet. I'm sure it'll break one of these days, like trying to start a music technology area is rather difficult to do in most schools. We were one of the first that actually got it off the ground with the music technology certificate program.
Was that because of you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did that. It's now a music technology minor.
Is it really?
Yeah. Oh, this year is the first year that you can get a minor in music technology.
I didn't know that.
So that's pretty cool. still, if you're really interested in commercial music, university, yeah, you can learn stuff there, and it can provide you an environment. But basically, you've got to learn it on your own.
If you really want to go to schools, it seems like you probably you need to go to one of those big boys like the Berkeleys or the.
Berkeley is one of
Yeah.
the few big names. The one out in Orlando also.
Oh,
and
Full Sail, yeah.
Yeah, Full Sail.
There's something in Cali too that doesn't come to mind right now.
But you know, those places, you're going to get 80% of the students who go there just happen to have the money, and they they think they have the dream to do that, and they don't really fulfill it.
But I just meant, like, at least I have a friend who, it's funny, I meet a lot of people who went to Berkeley, but for stints, because of the money, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a friend who, I don't quite know, like, what his goal with music is. He's one of those weird people in that spends a lot of time on music, makes stuff all the time, makes way more stuff than I will ever make, but doesn't release it, doesn't put it out, doesn't do nothing. So I guess it's just for him.
Yeah.
Doesn't, like, finalize, mix it or anything, but he got taught by, like, some people who are, like, famous in this industry. Like, one of them was Anna Wise.
Mm-hmm.
You might not know her, but she's a famous singer-songwriter lady, and, like, she's written a lot for a lot of people who matter, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that came out of Berkeley, you know? So at the very least, you learn from at least actual people doing it right now. Like, similar to, like, Klein, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because he's actually active now, you know?
Berkeley's my model for doing the kind of stuff that I was interested in doing with the music technology program.
Yeah.
But again, you know, it's very difficult to do that in a conservative institution that wants to teach Mozart and Beethoven, and that's their definition of music, and it doesn't go much beyond that. Maybe Stravinsky, you know. But popular music, I'll tell you something else. When I was in college, which is 50 years ago now, we had a jazz band, but it wasn't part of the curriculum, because you wouldn't have jazz in a real music curriculum. We had some pretty good people that went through that jazz program. Mark Gridley, the guy who wrote the big book on jazz education, was a saxophonist in that group, and but he didn't get any credit for it because people frowned on that kind of music. Now, jazz is a pretty well accepted part of the music curriculum, but it's not. It's in many places it's not really a creative type of music making. It's how jazz was performed in the 1920s and the 1940s.
It got the same stigma classical music got, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big jazz guy. You never got to see, like, the final incarnation. I don't even think you got to see really us, because I remember we would always play Too Late for You. So you never got to see, like, my group, but at the end of the day, like, my group was a hip-hop jazz group.
Yeah.
So we had 4 horn players. We had, like, all these horn players are legit. Like, you wouldn't know.
I've seen some of your videos.
Yeah, but, like, Adam plays at Jazz Texas. Like, this man, legit saxophone player. Matt Hill, who you've interacted with but may not remember, he was in our jazz band with Utah at the time. He has perfect pitch, so he's great. And the other two, again, you've interacted with them at stints. They were students, James Quintero and Chris Malacara.
Sure. Yeah.
Who he's like, you're interviewing Sebald? He totally wants to.
Well,
shout out to Malacara. But
I remember those guys.
But
and I'll tell you something else. I think the jazz ensemble right now with Adrian Ruiz.
I've met him before, but
Have you? He was one of my students.
I met him. You know, the first place I meet him in Elephant Room in Austin.
Really?
And not even here. And I'm like, man, it's both cool he's there, but I'm like, man, it's a shame he has to come all the way here to do his music.
Yeah, but he's doing music.
Yeah.
He's not just teaching it. He's actually doing it.
Now he plays with Jazz
got a
Texas
tremendous
too, though.
amount of musicality in him. So.
Yeah. He just put out an album. It was interesting watching from afar, because it's amazing how far you can get in your music career. And as he was putting out this album, he was asking questions to the Facebook world. How do you do this? You know, like, what's an ASCAP and BMI? Like, or at least which one to go with.
Yeah.
ISRC numbers, you know, like, and it was like, man, that guy's in it. And even he doesn't know, you know, So it was interesting watching that from afar, like, because I've learned all that too, because I put out stuff. I don't do the album thing, but I'll put out a song here and there. So like, it's been interesting learning all that. But I've been going on this chance. But yeah, my group is like a jazz group, essentially, because we don't. I very much took the Thelonious Monk quote. I don't know if it was meant to be this way, but he was like, there's a whole story where his son was a drummer. He wanted to practice for Saturday night, and his father told him, practice, like the gig is the practice, you know? So like we almost kind of never practice,
Yeah.
but they're just so good that all the horn players could hang. At the end, you probably interacted with Mark Martinez at some point. He was a comp major during your day, but now he ended up not finishing that, but he's still a drummer. And again, so he also has a jazz improv background. And then the rapper is just this blessing to me who also, he can freestyle the entire show. So even he is making it up. And we would no one would know the set. And even me, I would only know the set the day before.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of like improv.
Yeah.
And I would say 80% of the time it was real good. And then because it's improv, there would be those nights where like, ooh, like not so good.
Yeah.
But
well, that's interesting. That's music.
yeah,
I mean,
it was just fun.
to create something on the spot, to create it. Now, I never did that. I was never a jazz musician. I was always, I played what was on the page and played it very well, you know, and eventually got to the point where I could consider myself virtuosic on my instrument, but it was always stuff that was written and mostly traditional stuff. Doesn't mean I don't like the other things, although I'm not crazy about jazz, frankly. Not straight jazz, because I've just had so many bad experiences with it, with the people who tell me that no, if you're going to do Duke Ellington, it has to be done like he did it at the Savoy in 1932.
Classical mentality.
Yeah,
Yes, that's classic.
That just drives me nuts. That's not music making.
I feel
That's
like
museum curation.
I feel like for America, and like I'm not the biggest jazz aficionado. I'm more like the spirit of it than I really know about it.
Yeah.
But I feel like for America, I think certain styles, certain people like Wynton Marsalis, I think they became so famous that their ideas became canon. And he's very much like, you know, if it's not this New Orleans style, like if it ain't this, like what are you doing? You know, like he almost seems disgusted by like some of the new stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the universities have that too. Like, for both jazz and classical. Like for jazz since it's newer, it's like if it's not from the 60s, 70s, maybe if we're nice 80s, you know, like it's not real.
Yeah.
It doesn't count. It's not real music, you know?
Well,
I don't know.
music is a really broad area, discipline. I mean, hell, there's classical music, which is my tradition, jazz, pop music, ethnomusicology and ethnic music. And God, I'm really interested in that stuff too. Historical recreations of music, I'm interested in that. But basically, it's performance for the love of making something on the spot, making some music, you know?
Yeah, man.
So, okay, enough philosophy. Although I have a doctorate in philosophy, so I should be able to talk about it.
Why did you, what started you on this journey of music? Like, what made you even want to do it?
You want to know the truth?
Yeah, man.
I was in high school. I was in the high school band. It was second period. The counselor called me down to his office to ask me what I wanted to do for the future. And for one thing, I knew I wanted to teach because I come from a long background of teachers. My mother was a teacher. Her father was a professor at the University of Michigan. His father was, and on both sides of the family, we've got teachers going back. So I knew I wanted to do that, and literally when the guy called me down, I was thinking band. So I wanted to do band. And then the next summer, I got to go to a band camp at Michigan State University, and it was 700 kids all doing music. And God, that was a lot of fun. So I got sucked in, like a lot of kids did. The marching band at Michigan State just sucked me in like crazy. And I loved the kind of stuff that you were doing. And, oh yeah, by the way, making music is pretty fun. And pretty soon that became the big thing of making music and studying it. But that's how I got into it. It wasn't a matter of me saying, God, I've got to do music. It's the only thing that's meaningful in my life. I wasn't like that. So sorry.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And then you stuck with it. You like, because I always say there's two teachers at UTSA who are like, to me, like really I don't know if it's just respect, but like I think really kind of had a thing, and you're one of them.
Had a thing.
Like in my life, like had an impact in my
okay.
life, like over. Cause I feel like you gave me like a chance and stuff,
Well,
and I feel like sometimes it's hard to get that in the beginning. Like Klein, I almost feel like he because I feel like he became more a friend. So I feel like I almost count him more as friend in real life than I count him as teacher. But the other one's my finance teacher, and even though I didn't use that, like you guys both taught a certain way where like both of your classes were project based. Like so at least they had a form of reality. Because even though like your projects would be simplistic, there were simplistic applications of Twinkle Little Star, you know.
Yeah.
But like remixes happen all the time, or arrangements, you know, for the classical interpretation.
And some of them were pretty good.
And then they were. And then the same thing, like the movie one, like, well, that happens all the time. It's called scoring. Obviously, we're doing, again, baby versions of that. But yeah, like, and
learning the steps. Let me suggest something, too. I don't know about this finance guy that you're talking about.
Yeah, well, he taught in projects, too. That's why he used 0 textbooks. And you kind of had the same thing because you had an online curriculum.
Yeah, okay.
And you made your own website. He didn't do that. But I mean, like, he was like, look, man, I notice all these credentials you get, a lot of it doesn't even work in the real world. So look, I'm gonna teach you the real way if you don't want to do it like that. So he had projects that he came up that he felt were like, I do this at my job. And you know, and he's retired early. He retired early too because he used to be vice president of equity at USAA.
Oh, really?
But he retired early.
I didn't retire early, you know.
I know, but I mean, you retired. Not everybody got to retire. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you about that someday too. But the thing that I think that I was a fairly successful teacher most of my life. I remember all the kids that I had in my first band 45 years ago. I remember a lot of kids from the rest of my career, like you.
Yeah.
And I think that if there's a secret to good teaching, I think that's really the secret, to have an interest in your students beyond just, hey, this is what I need to teach you today, and you better damn well learn it. And I was always mostly interested in all my students, even the pain in the asses.
Keep emphasizing that.
Well, there were some others, too. But again, they were interesting people. They were normal, good-hearted, interested in what they were doing, wanted to learn some stuff. And so I was very interested in them. You remember Mike Austin? Was he with you?
I think that's before me.
Well, okay. I'm not going to go off in a rat hole with that one.
You could. It's up to you.
So I think, as Mahler once said, before you become a composer, you have to become a person. And I think that's true of a teacher, too. Before you become a good teacher, you got to become a decent person and be interested in people.
That other teacher I mentioned, so that's his favorite composer. It's funny you say Mahler.
Yeah.
And the funny thing, especially what I was going through at the time, his first degree was music. And then really? like many of us noticed in the beginning, he made no money in music, and that's slowly how he transfers into finance. And he still plays to this day, but you know, it's more like hobby for him.
Yeah.
He'll play in churches and stuff like that. But what makes you do the transition from a band director to, like, I guess how we would know you as the tech guy?
Band directing is a young man's sport. It takes an awful lot of energy. I know old people. Gary Rosenblatt is a good example. Some people that watch this video might know that name.
Yeah.
But he was lasted for his entire career as a band director, and he was a tremendous pedagogue. One of the best band directors I've ever seen, aside from Bob Rustowitz, who's another one who made his entire career doing nothing but directing bands. Now, I'm not sure I could do that. I wanted to do, it wasn't directing bands. I loved doing that. You know, it's a big ego boost to have all the girls falling all over you. And if you're in a position like that, that's what you get. You get a lot of respect.
Sebald was a beast, right? I remember some of those pictures.
Of me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the powerlifting body.
Yeah, well, I was big at that time, but that was part of it, you know. And it was an ego gratification kind of thing. And I liked doing that, but eventually I kind of got out of that and wanted to do some teaching in other areas. And I did get very interested in technology when it first started coming out. when I was the band director at Fort Hays State University. And I was there for, I think, 3 years. But all the time that I was there, the new Commodore 64 was coming out. And the other things, I started off with the VIC-20 and started making educational programs on it. And then on the Commodore 64, and then on the Amiga. And when those all went broke.
These are gaming machines, right? I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
yes. So were you said two things. So first, you say gaming machines. I'm curious. Did you play them at the time? Or?
No, I never played games. I never liked games. I liked teaching. I liked using these things to teach people.
But the second thing you said you made stuff for these consoles?
Yeah.
Like, at that time, would it be programming?
Yeah.
Damn, so you were programming at that time?
Well, yeah, back in the real early days. In fact, I'm not sure that you ever saw the Captain Cogno video game machine that we had in the, well, it was in the practice area of the University Music Department. And it stood there for years, and people actually went in and learned how to do certain aspects of music, key signatures, and how to finger a trumpet and stuff like that. And I still have those programs. So again, I was very interested in doing that type of thing. And it wasn't just that came to me. I actually did my dissertation on multimedia, computer-assisted learning. And that was back in 1978, when computers were
big things.
Really.
Like literally.
Yeah, well, the Macintosh had come out by then. And no, the Mac didn't come out until, well, I can't really remember. But
nice rainbow-colored Mac.
The Apple was out at that point. And so I was doing programming for the Commodore 64, which I could afford, and anybody else could afford. And you could do some pretty interesting stuff on it, So that was my background and why I got into that and why I'm still into that type of education.
So would obviously I meet you at UTSA, but is that where you started teaching it, or no? Do you start teaching like the tech side of things?
No. Again, when I was back in the 80s, the early 80s, when I was teaching at Fort Hays State University in Kansas, I started developing programs, and I guess it probably got in the way of my other teaching, because eventually I left there. I went down to Corpus Christi State University, and again started developing games, educational games in music. I mean, I was a music teacher, so you got to teach people how to read music somehow. You got to teach them how to finger instruments if they're going to be band directors. And so I developed these programs for those people and developed even the first Captain Cogno video game console I developed down there. I'll have to show you a picture of it one of these days. So, yeah, that's the history of all of that stuff. And that doesn't mean that I wasn't a musician at the same time. I just had some interest in... I was teaching music, and I was really interested in the teaching aspect of teaching music.
But, but from there, so then like, how do you end up at UTSA? So you got Corpus doing
How did I end up there?
Yeah.
That's an interesting story, too, and it really has to do with the technology aspect. And somebody being not following proper protocol. I had done...
Were you doing that all the time, by the way, or does it just start... Does the tech version of you create the not proper protocols version of yourself?
No, I'm not talking about me at all in improper protocol. I'm talking about the first... Well, I had done some presentations on music technology all over the country when I was at... Fort Hays, or not Fort Hays, but Corpus Christi State University. I started driving out to LA and doing presentations on MIDI and what you could do with it in education and other aspects of synthesis and that kind of thing. And one of the presentations that I did was at the Music Administrators meeting here in Texas, the TAMS, the Texas Administrators of Music, or something like that. And I did a presentation for them, and the chairman of the music department at UTSA saw me do it. I was teaching at Corpus Christi State University at the time, and he showed up in my studio down at Corpus Christi State University and said, "Hey, you want a different job?" And I said, "I don't know. What do you got?" And, I mean, this is unethical to do this, to invade another university's campus and try and recruit somebody.
Okay, that's
but
not...
he did, and that was fine by me. So I said, okay. It was the beginning of summer, and I guess they had an emergency vacancy that they had to fill. So I said, yeah, I'm interested in it, and that's how I got to UTSA.
Right place, right time.
Yeah, when I first came, I was teaching mostly music education courses, as I had done at universities ever since I started at the universities, teaching methods classes, instrumental methods classes, class clarinet, class brass, class strings, all of this stuff that you have to learn when you're a music teacher, a band director. So I was teaching all of that stuff and supervising student teachers. And I did that really when I first came to UTSA. But they also gave me a class in music technology. And not only that, they said, well, we're going to make this required of all of our music students. And we were like the first university in the country that really did that required all students in the department to have some kind of exposure to music technology. And so that's how I got my start in teaching that type of music. This is MIDI, this is what you can do in the classroom, and that kind of thing. And eventually, over the course of 25 years, when I started doing more and more in music technology and starting a course in music production and doing the multimedia course, which was partly music, eventually that took over my entire time, so that I wasn't teaching music education, traditional music education courses at all. I was just teaching applications, computer applications in music, and music production and multimedia production and things like that, which, was great for me. I had the ideal job by the time I retired. Better than a lot of people. When you're a young teacher, they give you everything. They give you all the student teaching supervision and all the crap courses that somebody has to teach. And I did them. I didn't hate them. I kind of enjoyed teaching that kind of stuff. Music for elementary school teachers. Okay, that's fun. But eventually I just got more and more into teaching music technology. And so, as I say, by the time I retired, that's all I was teaching.
Yeah. And towards the end is when you get into like the high school teaching as well, right, of the technology, right?
You mean my own courses?
Yeah.
Yeah, I they asked me at San Antonio ISD to create a curriculum for them in music technology. And the reason that happened was because in about 2004, they had gotten a big bond issue passed. And part of the bond issue was to build brand new music buildings for every high school campus. There were 8 of them at the time. And part of that was to put in a music computer lab. So they had to get some expertise from somewhere, and I guess they called me for that. And they also said, what would you want to put in here? And so I told them exactly what to put in. It was basically a duplication of what we had at Michigan or at UTSA. And then they said, well, can you develop a curriculum that uses this? And I said, you bet I can. And so for the next 5 or 6 or more years, I developed and ran their music technology curriculum for them. It was all online. And we had 150 kids in the program, and they all seemed to love it. And we gave presentations all over the country on how to do it. And again, a lot of people imitated what we did. So they're still doing it, but they're doing it on a smaller scale now because, it's awful hard to say to kids, well, music technology is great when the band director is there and he's got to put on a show the next week. And, he does a lot of heavy recruiting.
Yeah. I was always... I get to Texas when I'm 18 years old.
From where?
Bronx, New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a culture shock.
It was. I could do a whole podcast on that alone.
Yeah.
But I mean, meeting a bunch of students from UTSA, the music people, and then later not music people. I was like, and you mentioned just them building buildings for high school. Music seems to be a big part of the Texas school system.
Yeah.
And I never played one instrument my entire, both normal grade 1 through 8 and then high school in New York. Like,
Well, when you say music is big in Texas, yeah, but it's exactly a very specific type of music, controlled by the UIL, and it's band, choir, orchestra, and maybe mariachi band, and that's about it. That's and it's very competition based.
I mean, because I never even got to touch any of those instruments growing up, so like. No, the only instrument I touch, and I don't learn it till my 20s, is the guitar, and that's because my dad happened to play guitar. You know, if he wasn't there, then nothing. You know, like.
Well, listen. Let me ask you, what brought you here to Texas from the Bronx?
My mom retires, right? Because she has me late. She had me like 45 or something.
Oh, really?
So she retires at 65-ish, right? Yeah. Around there. Literally the same year that I'm 18 and I finish high school, and she tells me, hey man, because my sister's Air Force, so she got here first, and we would visit her every summer. Before she was here in Maryland, we visit her there. But she was like, this place is nice, I like it, I want to move here. And she retires and like, well, I'm gonna move here. And she tells me, do you want to stay here or do you want to go? And I wasn't thinking. I just said, sure, I'll go with you, because that's a future Abraham problem. It wasn't even like, now that I'm older now, I have a different mind and all, like I understand, but like I think me saying yes never equated to like this is gonna happen. And then to the point that like 2 months later, when it was time for us to move, I had not packed a single thing. It was like my mom's fully packed already, and it's moving day. We're putting stuff in the truck, and my room looks fine, like I live there. And she was so pissed. But I mean, but yeah, so I spent like 12 hours just putting everything in boxes and stuff. Like my brother was gonna drive the truck, so he had to leave at like 1 a.m. It was stupid. I mean, young and dumb.
Did you? Did you really have culture shock when you got here?
Well,
so
yes,
what the hell did I just do?
Well, it was less regret and more like it opened up my mind. Like I lived with my sister for the first week, but then we get our own place, me and my mom, and it's a 3-story apartment complex, which is common here, right? But not in New York. In New York, we have the projects, you know, so my building alone was 24 stories, and then depending on the floor, 10 to 12 apartments each floor. And then it was part of a bunch of those buildings, you know? So I get here and there's only 3 stories, right? We're on story 3, but it's 3, you know? Like, and there's central AC. I never had AC the entire New York life. And there's a balcony. I can go outside, but even right now, I'm outside, but I'm inside. Like, this is crazy. I told my mom we made it because we never had that over there in New York. Like, none of that was like ever a thought. And all of that's where the real culture shock is. Like, you just know that one way of life, and like I would never say I had a bad childhood because I had a real good one, I think. But you don't understand like what people say, like, oh, New York's bad or this is bad, because I had no contrast. And then I come here and I'm like, it took me maybe about 5-6 years to get it, but I was like, oh, I get it. Like, first year, people would say hi to me, and I would just look at them angry.
Well, that's a difference between Northerners and Southerners.
But I was like, why are you doing this? And I'm not even saying that aloud. I'm saying that in my head. Like, why are they saying hi to me? You know, like all angry. I mean, I would be maybe I'm still am, but I would be overly loud. Like, like sometimes when I'm talking, like, I remember I would call people in the same vicinity. Like, it may not be the room, but like, and I would be like, hey, yo, Matt, like really loud, and everybody would stare at me. That wasn't normal, I guess, here to yell at people. But like even now, like I can talk, like I'm talking now, I can say hi to people now. Like I couldn't do that before. Because it was just
I had basically the same experience when I was one of those people that lived in Michigan all my life. And because of the economy at the time, you know, talking about 1978, 1980, sometime around then, we were going to be had the bumper sticker that said last one out of Michigan, please turn out the lights. And we were part of that exodus. And I remember interviewing for jobs in the South specifically in Georgia, although I think it would have been the same anywhere I went. And we went into one of the malls in Georgia, and people were smiling. Now, you would think that, hey, that's no big deal. But honest to God, that was different from Michigan, where you went into the mall and people were frowning and going about their business. And I'm sure it's basically the same thing, or a little bit different, but kind of the same thing in New York.
Yeah.
Because it's a difference in culture.
I think like my mind has changed a lot in the last year, but I think like a lot of my San Antonio life, I maybe wasn't like happy for various reasons. But at the end of the day, I was like, it gave me contrast, and it kind of brought me out of my shell. So I'm still very grateful for it, because now I understand, and I've traveled more now too. Like, but I understand like there's more to the world, you know, like, and there's another way. It doesn't just have to be this.
Yeah.
You know, you can be nice. You can interact with people. You know, like that's just an option. Like that because it's like it's less that we're trying to be mean in New York, and more like
fuck you, leave me alone.
Yeah, but it's also like if you don't, you know, the whole theory of like you need bad to be good, you know, right? Because if you have no contrast for it, you know, like so it's less like we're being mean and more like we don't know there's another way. It's just like this is how it is. This is how we were brought up.
Yeah.
So this is how we are, you know.
So that's interesting.
So yeah, like so I'm still grateful for that, because now I go to places and I'm probably not an a-hole. Well, as much as one anyway.
Yeah. Well, you were like that when you first came.
But see, like I think I don't know why, but I guess I would interact with you maybe because you had music. But I think for a lot, like at that point, like for some people, I would like, you know, maybe to talk to some of them, it probably wasn't the easiest thing to start it, at least. Once I know you, then it's easy. But I mean, like to initiate. But I think I notice it now, because even now, like, now it's probably limited to girls. If I like you, I still might be a bit hesitant, like as an icebreaker status. After that, again, once I know you, it's whatever. But I notice when it comes to networking, like if you have something I want, so maybe you had like music knowledge, or if I want to work with you on music, which would be those students back then, like I don't have a problem doing it, you know. So like Ralph, I would bother him all the time before I worked there, but he was there. He was working there. He was doing music. He was DJing. I had never done any of that. So if you have someone I want, I think for whatever reason I put blinders on my little barriers or things. But other than that, like I would be reserved at the time, you know. But yeah.
No, you were a good student. Ralph was a good student too. It's another interesting kind of person who showed up at my office door and said, "Hey, I want to be a music major." Yeah, okay. What do you play?
Oh man, that early? So it's not even as a music major. He showed up before that. Wow.
Yeah, he did. Well, you know, he spent most of his high school years either in Florida or on the beach in Costa Rica or someplace like that, and really didn't have the background, but. Again, seemed to be very interested in the kind of thing that you were interested in. He tried doing traditional music for a while, but just didn't like it. Played trumpet.
Yeah, I remember.
Didn't seem to like that kind of stuff.
He plays some of it. He plays it now occasionally in church now and stuff. Like trumpet? Part of church music and stuff. I mean, he's probably not, you know, where he was back then, but, you know, just basic stuff.
Well, got into DJing too, and... you know, I didn't know a damn thing about that, but apparently it was big in the culture. I actually had him write one of the articles that I was supposed to write for one of the state education magazines, so I didn't know anything about DJing, so I had him write it, and he did a very good job.
I still feel to this day at a not famous level, at our level, he's probably one of the best. He's probably the best DJ I ever met, because he learned at a time where vinyl was still a thing. Yeah. So he has a lot of skills that people don't have, because you know we have this auto everything now.
Right. Yeah.
So and he's a student of what we call like the DJ rules. So he has a lot of like he can react to the room, versus a lot of people, especially me, because I'm more producer. I'm gonna do whatever I want because I'm in artist mode, you know. But he's more. Since he's in the DJ,
an entertainer.
So he's gonna like, okay, so he's told me like club stories, but then he's also told me like, well, sometimes I'm DJing for the church, and well, that's a different thing, you know. So he'll play and adapt to that, and still make them excited, but maybe in a different way than the club might be excited at, you know.
So I guess he's still doing it.
Last time I asked him, this broke my heart, because normally it's always in a room, just like you have your rooms. Normally he has his DJ room. It's he told me it's in storage, man. I was like, the
Oh,
tear
no.
came. Yeah, I know.
Well, I saw it. No, just I looked at his Facebook page
Maybe
just
he
a couple
whipped
days
it out.
ago. So, yeah, and he was
But,
doing something that would look like his setup.
Maybe he whipped it out. Maybe I inspired him by like,
Good.
cause
Good.
I asked him about it. Like, hey man, can we do a mix on your decks? And he was like, dude, they're in storage. And I was like,
well,
no way. And he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
man, like they're real life.
well, he had some, problems, other problems
Oh
that he
yeah,
had to
for
deal
sure.
with.
I think with him, he's always been, in terms of just music, he's always been torn between, cause meeting a lot of people who have made it in various ways, whether they've made it for real or just even just working it at whatever level. It seems like at some point in life, like this thing has to be your main thing. And I feel like he's always had, feet in a lot of
Yeah.
realities,
Yeah.
like whether it was the, relationships or
Yeah.
whatever, and that's why music's always been like maybe priority 6 for him, like,
Well,
like,
I'm kind of like that myself, and there's nothing wrong with that.
there
I
isn't,
mean,
there isn't. It took
life
me a
is a
while to
lot more
realize
than
that.
music.
Yeah, it took me a long time to realize
Yeah.
that, because now even music right now, like I just made a song recently, but I made it more like out of inspiration. Like I had a friend in New York committed suicide,
Oh,
so
shit.
I know it sucks, but I did, for whatever reason, I don't even rap, right? Usually I have a rapper, so I don't even rap, but I wrote some lyrics, and then I made music. I was making music one day, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool if there was lyrics? And I was like, oh, I wrote some, so I did it, and it's just memories about him.
Mhm.
But I mean, like before that, it's probably been months before I make that, and months before, like, so I
Yeah.
still love it, and I'll always probably dabble in it.
Yeah.
But now, like, even that's like on this, it's on a lower tier now, the music, because I had
Well,
my
you move
time.
on. There's-
Yeah, I had my time. I did. Aside from making it and making it, like I've did everything I ever wanted to do. Like I
Good.
played it. I played with groups, big. I put together a band of musicians who are better, I would say, at what they do than what I do. The only difference is that I probably just had, I had a vision. I had the, I won't brag, but like maybe the leadership quality to bring people together, because all these guys were doing it for years and they always talk, hey, I want to do it, but they didn't do it, but I would book a show. I could make the ads. I could do whatever needed to be done.
See, that's your background.
Yeah, yeah.
Lets you do that kind of stuff. Good for you.
But yeah, we did it, and like we had our fun, and aside from making it, like that's the only thing. We played a few festivals here and there, you open up for the semi-famous person, so we had our moment, and I was, like I said, I always do it, but it has its place.
I'm interested. What are you going to do now? What's in the future for you?
I'm interested in that too. Like, after this Saturday is my last like commitment to actual San Antonio, anything related. Like I have this thing I have to do with like Red Bull. I could tell you more about it later. But after that, I'm like technically free. And so the plan is most likely to move to LA and somehow get in a form of the entertainment industry. Just because I know, like, I would prefer that to be my day job than for anything with my finance degree to be my day job. And I've seen LA, to me, has proof of concept in that I know a list of friends, one who was in your class. You won't recognize him because I think he just did your class and then he went to another college, so he didn't have enough interaction. But his name's Matthew Whitehurst. Matthew Whitehurst.
No.
I did my final project with him because you could team up.
Well, I remember your final project.
Yeah. So I did it with him. That was one of the first times I collabed with somebody too. So, and that was the first time like
Was
me
he
and
the
him had a
trombone
bond.
player?
He was a drummer. He was percussion.
Who was the trombone player? You did something with the trombone player.
Oh, James. Oh no, that's my final pro. Like that's.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay. Well,
I meant
we're
for
talking about
the
something else.
semester. Like
Oh, okay.
like I think your final project is make a song essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the song I made with him. But anyway, like, this is a man who I sat in a classroom with your class, and you fast forward to now, he has in last summer he had over 50. So I'll just give him 10 to be friendly. But he has over 50, maybe 60 now in this moment, IMDb credits, and he does sound design.
Cool.
And when I met him for lunch in LA last year, he does he doesn't do a podcast like I do, but he records it for people. So he'll bring the gear and just do all the work for them. And the episode he was recording, they were interviewing Eisner, which is the CEO of Disney,
Yeah, I know.
And I have a lot of examples of friends who are in the industry who either I was in class with them or I knew them from Texas or some I didn't know. but they just moved to LA with no experience, and they're in there one way or the other. They work at ABC, CBS,
But
whatever.
what'll get you in is your closeness to those people.
Yeah.
Because if you go out there and you have no contacts at all, you're not going to.
What they
you'll
told
starve
me
to death.
when I was there was like, you seem to be really good at this networking. You should just stay
Yes.
here. You'll get there. you'll get in one way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
That's one thing that you can do, but no, I think you'll be successful just because of
I
your
hope so.
personality.
yeah. like,
Mackie
even-
Signs is out there. Do you know her, Macarena Signs? She was from your
I
era.
met her. She was leaving as I was coming, so it was like this. So
Yeah.
I didn't get to be friends with her, but I got to see a bunch of the stuff she was working on, music
Yeah,
and
she's
videos.
pretty big.
Okay.
I mean, she's not a pop star,
Of course,
but
yeah.
she's gone back and forth between Mexico and LA,
Nice.
and she's gotten some big attention. So, and she had one of the most beautiful voices for a pop singer I've ever heard. So she had something going for her when she went out there, and besides, she's cuter than hell.
Yeah.
Don't tell her I said that.
I'll edit that out. I won't, but it's only on my.
So some people
Let
can
me
be
ask
successful.
you this. You probably don't remember him, but maybe you do. Kevin Wong, you remember him?
Oh, sure.
That laugh
Another
says
weirdo.
yes. That laugh. So, do you know what he's doing now?
I've seen some things, but I've forgotten what they are. Again, he's one that every once in a while I see him on Facebook.
He's my favorite story to tell of the list of people I know in LA, because when I met him, he sucked, man. Like he sucked.
He was a weird
sucked.
kid.
Like,
He was one of the ones that slept on the chairs.
yeah, but you see, that's usually that's the attitude that's probably gonna get you there, because he was tired because he was always doing it. You know what I mean? But he did suck. Like at that area, he did suck. He did have one song I really like, but he sucked at mixing. And it's hard. But anyway, if you fast forward to now, and I love it too because he did suck. But you fast forward to now, his dream was he wants to make Korean pop music.
Yeah?
He's in LA working at a studio, and you know what that studio primarily records?
Okay, Korean pop music.
Yes.
That's cool.
He's still not where he wants to be because he wants to be the producer.
Yeah?
But he's recording Korean. That's so niche.
Yeah.
That's like
Well, more power to him. Say hello to him for me.
oh, for sure. His problem is he sucks at communicating. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
Yeah, well,
He
a lot of us suck at that.
but no, but I mean he'll just never respond. I did get to have dinner with him though in LA.
Mhm.
So he's out, but his thing, he says dude, I'm only really bad because he's stressed because he's always in the studio. He said he worked over 12-hour days all the time, and
Mhm.
he's in a place, at least at that point he was in a place where he's happy that he's doing it, but sometimes he's like, is this what I really want? Because it's so much work,
Yeah, but when you're young,
yeah
and by young I'm talking before 50.
yeah. Oh man, there's a lot of space then. I'm there too. Yes.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Then you have the energy to do that kind of stuff. And I will tell you from the grandfather angle that eventually you're going to have to make money, and there are other things that are more important than just doing
That's why I
creative
want to
music
move
all
now.
the time.
That's why, because I'm like,
Yeah.
how long do I wait?
Yeah.
I tried my time here and it
Yeah.
was fun, but I gotta do it.
Well, the guy that preceded Chris Klein, Mark Rubenstein,
yes, I met him again on the way out while I was coming in.
was somebody who just wanted to do nothing but music, and eventually, he was too big for what we were doing here, so he went to Ohio State. Now, I'm not crazy about going to Ohio, but he made a big name for himself there. So,
Okay.
and he's doing what he wants to do.
There you go.
Who was the one? Adam Kittle, who you probably don't know,
I
was
don't
one of
know
my
him, yeah.
early students, and he wanted to do that too. Okay, went to my class, started his own studio, moved it out to L.A.,
Okay.
and did that for a number of years. And then I guess, either he couldn't make it or he just got tired of it and eventually moved back to San Antonio, which incidentally a lot of people seem to do.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'll do that because my main family ties are my mom and sister.
Mhm.
That's the only, I feel guilty about that. My mom's 75, so she is on the older side. But
Yeah.
it's at the same time I have to live my life. But I didn't grow up here, so I don't think I have the same attachment as everybody else who moves back here. I think that's why they choose to move back here, because
Maybe.
they have an attachment that I probably have with maybe New York, So Who would you say is your most successful though, like student, like
Oh,
over
God.
the years, like?
Well, I mean, if you don't classify it, I've had some kids from my first bands who have become very famous in band director circles, and that's always pleased me too. You know, you can't just say in music technology.
Yeah. Because
In music technology, I don't know. They've a lot of people that I wouldn't have expected to excel in technology have done so. But I track mostly the ones who have gone on in higher education
Okay.
and done music technology, or at least music in higher education, and they seem to be very successful and very happy. Michael Austin is one of them.
okay.
You know, I never knew him very well, but again, I see him on Facebook once in a while. Let's see, anybody else? God, there's so many. And, geez, I just don't know.
That's
I
how
never
good a
thought
teacher you
about
are.
that.
There's just so many. There's just so
Yeah,
many
I mean, I've
successful
taught
people.
literally thousands of people, and I'm just trying to go through all their faces
Oh, yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Sometimes I can't get the names, but the faces are all familiar to me, and sometimes I just lose track of them. Like the one that you mentioned who is up in Dallas now and being very successful.
Oh yeah, Maley.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Andrew
Maley.
Maley. And I'm glad that he's doing something.
He's the man. Like, well, so when I leave to LA, because he was trying to get me to move to Dallas. Like the final destination is LA, but I have some ideas of freelance, and I'm gonna go to Dallas, visit him, probably stay with him. But either way, I want to stay there for like, even if it's just days to weeks. I'm gonna start Dallas. The path is gonna be Dallas, Denver, Phoenix. I'm not staying in Phoenix, but I mean, definitely not. But I mean, like, if I wind up in things in Denver or
Denver's
Dallas,
a cool
like,
scene.
I've never been to Denver.
Yeah.
I had not been to Dallas until last year, actually. Well, at least for real. I've been at shows, but not to explore the city. Dallas felt all right, but I think it's too close, you know?
Why not San Francisco?
So that was the #1 city I enjoyed, right?
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know if it's the fear or something, but like, I don't know no one there. Like, I don't know no one there, and I did meet so Klein got me into Skywalker Ranch, right?
Yeah.
Klein's the man.
Oh, yeah?
He tried to do a lot for me,
Yeah.
but that was the one that a lot of people he knows are busy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He actually showed me a reply from someone in San Francisco that sent the reply to that email the day we just happened to be meeting at the Mad Pecker.
Oh, yeah?
And that was like a 4-month reply. It was like, dude, I'm sorry I didn't meet your student. I was super busy. So they did reply, but it was 4 months later.
Yeah.
But no, but it's so I'm in Skywalker Ranch, amazing time. They didn't let me take no pictures because it's Skywalker Ranch. So the only picture I do have was the parking pass that says Skywalker Ranch on it. But I gotta say, like, for us, I won't talk too much about Skywalker Ranch, but for us, like, you know, who wants to do things like this for a living, that probably has to be one of the prime places, not just because of the content you're working on. I got to see Doctor Strange, right? When they were mixing the audio.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You did that. I'll be damned.
I saw it. They didn't want to press play on anything, but I would see scenes, and you would see Pro Tools, and they're editing the audio, and everybody would be like, "Why is he here?" Like, but anyway, like, so but no, like, it's an actual ranch. So like, you're all day, you're working on a computer, and you know, like, you like what you're doing, but it's a computer, it's tech, you know, like, it can wear on you. So you go outside, and this place is in the middle of nowhere, mountains, you know, so you gotta get a huge contrast. And I don't think any other place offers that. LA don't offer that, you know. A lot of these other studios that are in downtowns, they don't offer that. So I think they have something great there. It's an actual ranch. They make wine there.
Yeah.
They make some food there, you know what I mean? From a tech point, they had everything is centralized. So from whatever studio you are in, and they're all houses. They're not even buildings. They're houses. But no matter what studio you happen to pick, because they have various studios, everything's like kind of cloud centralized. So you could access any project from any computer. You could be like, okay, I don't want to mix it here. I'm going to mix it there. Because they had like the TV room. Yeah. And you press a button and a crappy TV comes out. So you can mix it to make sure it sounds good for the normal person, you know? Not just the 18.1, you know, movie theater or whatever that is, you know? But no, so I met that guy, and his advice was similar too. Like, go to LA because opportunity is everywhere. here is like, not only is it stiff competition, but like you kind of want to be somebody already to come here, you know?
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, so like I wouldn't mind going. Like I always have the idea, maybe I should just do it. But like I think in LA, based on what I've seen, like I'll make something, and then maybe in the future I'll go there, you know?
Yeah.
Because over there, yeah, it seemed tough. I really knew less people there. If I knew anyone I did know, was because I was a friend of a friend, not even because it was like people I know. And they all kind of had that same story. Like, yeah, it's real tough out here. Like, so you probably want to be somebody.
That's probably a good idea. There are other cities out there too, Seattle, but again, you wouldn't have the contacts there. And
Yeah.
LA is the place if you want to get a start somewhere.
No, I
and
know
get
too.
opportunity.
Which is, no, I'm not close to him or nothing, but he does respond when I message him. And I went to a show with him. I know the A&R of Ableton in LA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now you could end up working for those guys too.
I almost moved in with him because
Yeah?
he needed a roommate, and I considered moving in with him just so I can be around him.
Yeah.
It would be expensive because he lives in a good place, but
Yeah.
I was just like, it might be worth it, even though I'd be paying a lot of money for it, you know?
So you're
But,
using Ableton now mostly.
Yeah, and I still think Pro Tools is a better DAW for mixing,
Yeah.
but it's like I don't want to use 10 DAWs. I just want to use one. And that one, without a shadow of a doubt, is better for creativity. A lot of the other ones are better for the creative process. And it's like, you know, I can still get it sounding good enough for what I do, you know? Like, yeah, it's not like...
Well, like me, I've got a whole bunch of them. I started off with Vision, which you probably don't even know. And eventually went into Logic. And
had I had a Mac, that would have been my one. That one is great. That one is great.
It's like, it's a composer's tool rather than a mixer's tool.
I advise everyone to buy that now more than ever, especially Apple's Apple. They're only $200 brand new. Sometimes you can get it at discount $150.
Now, what about some of the other strange ones? There's one out, Reason. You know, I always liked Reason as a teaching tool because...
It's so good, and a lot of us started in there from that time. Now, not anymore. But the weakness they always had is they're like, not that you would understand this parallel, but they're like Nintendo. Nintendo is the last of the video game companies that was a video game company. The others are Sony and Microsoft, who just took the market. But Nintendo and Reason have in common is we're going to do it our way. And that's cool, but that's why you're always in the corner with your niche crowd, you know?
Yeah.
They just finally allowed VSTs.
Yeah, I know.
Finally. Like 2017.
Well, I stopped upgrading at the last version, and they've been trying to get me to go up to 9.5, and I'm not crazy.
I only want it, and I'm not, but it'll be years that I'll have to have too much money to justify buying it, but I only want it to open up some old projects from like when I was first starting.
Yeah.
Because some of them I can't open, because back then I was still into it, so I ended up messing with Record. And I can open Reason stuff, but I can't open any of my Record stuff. And I'm like, I'm not buying it just for that. It would be more a fun thing than...
There's a new one, or I guess it's not new, but it's finally coming to the fore, called Waveform.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't? Well, it's cool. It's got some tools in it for creativity. Not the same as Live, and certainly not the same, although there are some looks that look like Logic and like Pro Tools. But it's got some things where you don't have to know exactly what you want. You just have to say, well, I want it to be in the key of D, and I want to use this.
That sounds very Brian
functions.
Eno. That sounds very Brian Eno.
I'm not sure he had any, although it's British.
Well, I'm just saying his philosophy.
Yeah.
Because Brian Eno always has these ideas of, and even things like flashcards and all that stuff he did, like you hear him talk, he had these ideas from like the 60s of like anyone making music and the idea of visualizations and painting music. And that's where we are. Like that's why you have the everyone can make music, because even if you don't know anything, you can just drag the appropriate samples and make a collage of good sounding music because it's all prepared for you, you know? Which I kind of, that's where I turn into the old man and I'm like, you didn't do nothing, you know?
No.
Because I know a lot of friends who do. Like, and that stuff pisses me. That's where I become, I don't know how familiar you are with Jack White, but Jack White has the old mentality. Jack White from the White Stripes. He's a guitar player in Nashville.
Okay.
But he has the traditionalist style of like, dude, come on, man. Like, all you need is play the instrument, do
Yeah,
it in one
yeah.
take, natural mistakes,
Well,
you
that's
know?
great.
Like,
You know, I approve of that. But I'm in a state now where I just don't know what to use, and I could buy all of these things and use one week and another the next week, but you can't learn how to use a program
that's
really
why I stick
efficiently
to
that
one
way.
DAW, and because at least I know how to do it. And my
Yeah.
goal is to make music, not to learn
Yeah,
DAWs. You know,
right, right.
whenever I'm in a better place in life, I may change DAW, less for convenience and more for Ableton is now one of the top DAWs. So I really have this. It's probably one of the things that prevent me from being successful. But I really like being different,
Yeah.
and so just to have, because those things can shape sound to a degree, those DAWs. So I would pick probably one of the weirder ones just so I can think differently, because I'm using different things. Because now that everyone uses it, even though I still make weird stuff compared to the norm, they're a lot closer now because everyone's using the same thing. A popular one for kids, or the younger generation, or the current one, is FL Studio, Fruity
yeah.
Loops,
Yeah, Fruity Loops.
And especially once they expand it to Mac. I mean, like,
Well, I've got all of those too. Mixcraft was another one that tried to emulate
I remember
GarageBand.
that one. I never used it, but yeah.
And they've gotten pretty good recently.
Even GarageBand that's like
GarageBand,
baby
yeah.
Logic right now.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah. You can do an awful lot of stuff, and as long as you don't have really professional level
needs.
needs.
Yeah.
You can be very creative with that and do a good job with it. And a lot of people do podcasts using
Even Audacity.
GarageBand.
I have a guy, harmonica player. He's one of the best in the country. He gets way more listens on his harmonica podcast. He just interviews harmonica people, of course, but he just uses Audacity. He'll ask me for like gear advice, but he still keeps it simple. Just use Audacity, and he edits in there, and you good. That's free. That one's free, like.
Yeah, I see a lot of people do that. And being in education, I know all the freebies.
Yeah.
And the cheap ones.
The only thing I would find weird for me, just because you're not always playing it, and I still like playing stuff, is trackers. Any tracker to me is weird. Numerical, the
Really?
numerical trackers. Because I never started with that. I have a chip
that was
tune.
big when I was doing Commodore 64.
Yeah.
And
I
there
have
are still people who do marvelous work with that stuff.
I have a friend who does chiptune music, so he'll use Game Boys and stuff.
Yeah.
They're all trackers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I look at him, and it's just like, what is this?
Yeah.
And he'll explain it to me, but I'm like, that's cool. That's good.
Well, that's their creativity. Stravinsky said that the more limitations you put on somebody,
Exactly. Yeah.
the more creative you can be.
Yeah.
You hand somebody a piece of paper and say, be creative, and they don't know what the hell to do.
Because now you got too much freedom.
Yeah, you got too
yeah.
much freedom. But as long as you start restricting and putting parameters on it, then you start becoming really free to create some stuff.
Yeah.
So
So
trackers were like that. I remember the days when you only had 3 tracks that you could
oh man,
create with.
that's like less than tape machines at that time. 3 tracks.
Well, then came out the 4-track. Oh my God! On Commodore 64, a 4-track MIDI sequencer. Oh geez, I really wanted that. And then it was a long time before you could do audio tracks at the same time as you could do MIDI.
What do you think of these? I feel like I only see numbers like this for orchestras. But like, what do you think of these 1,000 channels now that we have available to us?
Well, I suppose some people can use them. Hans Zimmer can use them. Klaus Badelt can use them.
It's usually that music, yeah.
Yeah. What did I just see Klaus Badelt do? Oh, yeah, I went to the movie with my granddaughter, and it was Leap, a cartoon, Leap.
Right.
A really good movie, and Klaus Badelt had done all of the music for that. That's another thing I'm kind of interested in is music for video, music that whose primary purpose is to affect your emotions, to get a mood going.
I think it intimidates me. I tried to do one for a guy in the UK.
Yeah.
I ended up passing it on, but I think a lot of it was that like I really like doing my thing.
Yeah.
And he had directions.
Yeah.
And it's also different. It's like I like making like music. I like making songs, especially now. I like making songs more now than music, and like music for music's sake. And yeah, this was more like you needed the ambience and stuff. And I'm like, and because you're making these weirder sounds, it's also way more sample based a lot of
Yeah.
times than it is let me play it and stuff. I mean, if you have those patches, you can play it, but I don't have a collection of weird noises
Yeah.
because that's not what I'm trying to do, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, music can be art, or
Yeah,
music
yeah.
can be
no,
a
it's still good.
support
I
for
still
other
listen.
arts.
Like a lot of my favorite modern day soundtrack guys, though they do have their own albums, like Max Richter and Johan Johansson. And I can't remember which one, but one of them did Arrival. One of those two did Arrival, the movie that came out last year. Max Richter does a lot apparently. I looked at his thing and I was like, oh, I've seen all his movies. So you've probably heard him whether you know him or not.
Well,
Another like modern day, he doesn't do soundtracks, but I guess they classify him as new classical or whatever. Maybe because he just uses a piano, I don't know. But his name's Nils Fran. I think he's German.
I don't know.
But he'll have an actual classical piano, like, you know, just normal grand piano. Sometimes it's prepared, sometimes it's not. But then he also has an analog synthesizer with all the wires like right next to it, and he's mixing. So he's mixing the electronic world with the real sounds, you know, and he's real good, and he's like a one man machine. He's amazing, and he's just
cool.
sweating and
Yeah, that's cool.
It's great.
Like I said, music is a huge discipline. You can do practically anything in it.
Yeah.
You know, I look at somebody like Don Hodges. Did you ever know Don Hodges?
I feel like know that name. I don't know if I met him.
He and I wrote a book together. Actually,
That's
it was his book.
Okay. Yeah.
But I got to write some chapters, and I did all the multimedia production for it. And I mean, there's a guy that taught music psychology. Okay, he used to play French horn, and you know, could be creative in that. But for 20 years, he really hasn't done performance. He hasn't been involved in that aspect of music. And really, when you think about music, that's what it is. It's performing something. It's communicating musical thought to somebody else, an audience. But he hasn't done that. He's studied the psychology of music, how music affects people, more of a science than an art.
I'm meeting a lot of, and I never get to, they're always at the beginning, so I can't really like quiz them on it as much as I want to, but I'm meeting a lot of people who are doing music therapy these days.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of a dying art right now.
Is it?
Maybe it'll come back. You never know.
But yeah, I've just noticed that pattern. Like if they're going to school for a more like classical thing these days, I've just happened to meet a lot of people doing that.
I see. Well, the reason I say that, and maybe it's not true, but I've seen a lot of departments. Michigan State, where I got my degrees, had a internationally famous music therapy department, and it's no longer there.
Oh, wow.
They just disbanded it. Of course, we were really big in music, not therapy, but music psychology related. When Don Hodges was here and started with me and Scott Lipscomb started the Institute for Music Research. And its primary goals were to research music psychology and how music affects people, and also a little bit of music technology thrown in there too. But, and now the IMR is nothing compared to what it was back then. It's still extant at UTSA, but it doesn't have anything to do with its original goals.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So I have like I have these questions I usually do at the end of all of them.
Oh,
right?
okay.
They're like life questions and stuff.
Okay, shoot me a life question.
But they'll be interesting for you because you're in a different place. Like almost everybody else is like trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And you kind of did it already.
There.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I almost feel weird asking them to you. But like the first one I asked is like, I used to ask everybody this, like, what's your goal in life?
I still have goals in life, although I'm calming down a little bit now. I do want to explore. I'm still very interested in education.
Okay.
I want to explore how to best use our new technologies, new media, to make learning efficient. I have that type of goal. Aside from that, you know, I'm calming down anymore. I don't want to be the best band director in Michigan. Of course, I was the best band director in Michigan. And I don't want to necessarily be the first person to create a music technology program because, you know, I already did that. And
yeah.
I got my name on the damn wall. And I got my seat in the auditorium. So, and I'm a professor emeritus, and that's, so I've got all of that stuff. It was interesting. I go over to the university now, and nobody recognizes me because I've been retired for 5 years, and those
Yeah.
kids go through in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody there anymore. Some of the faculty recognize me, but even the faculty has changed over now quite a bit.
I went a year ago. All I could talk to was Cindy and Naomi. I was
Yeah,
like-
yeah,
I was
they seem to be staples there.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, there is that. The goals, I don't have a driving desire now. It's more hobbies that I'm interested in.
For sure. So now that the next round of questions I ask is a daily meditation I do. So, but I've just flipped them into questions that I can ask people.
Okay.
So, who do you have compassion for?
Is this a general question, or do you want a
I
specific
usually
person?
just let people answer it. Yeah, you can take it, answer it any way you want. Like,
Who do I have compassion for?
I was gonna, yeah.
Pretty much everybody, to some degree or another, and even rocks, even cats and dogs. I've got a feeling for. I'm an anthropomorphist. You know what that is?
No.
It's a person who attaches human qualities to things, and I do that. I
Hence
mean,
the stuffed animals.
well, yeah, that's a great example of it, really. But it comes down to the point where I don't want to throw that pillow away because it might hurt the pillow to be thrown away and rejected.
Okay.
I feel the same way. I mean, I can feel that way about a blade of grass or a rock or a turtle or something that I see in the forest. So I have empathy for everybody and everything. Now, there are people who are assholes, but I don't wish them ill.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I do sometimes, if they're real assholes. But no, I support. No, I want to get along with everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a deep question. It would take a long time of meditation to come up with a real answer.
So I
for
do
that.
it. I didn't get to do it today, but I technically do it pretty much every day because
Yeah.
I feel like long term it'll shape my mind. You know, like you do it once, it's not enough, but you do it.
So how
every
long
day.
do you spend in meditation, and what do you try to do?
So I do 2 every day. I do 2 every day. So all these things. The first one's self-talk. So I ask these things of myself, and I'm just thinking, for this one, the way I answer it is I just think of all the people in my life, family, friends, people, even just anyone I know, even if I don't know you that well, you know. And like I could read because I have like notes on this. I was gonna read it up. So like the way it was defined here was compassion is expressing the intention of moving from judgment to caring, from isolation to connection, from indifference or dislike to understanding, you know?
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
agree
just,
with that.
Contemplating the people in my life, you know?
What about the rocks in your life?
That I haven't gotten to yet. And it's funny, like you talking about rejecting and like letting go, because I'm in the opposite place. I'm trying to let go of everything
Yeah,
except
well,
for what
okay.
I use, because I
Yeah.
think I don't want to have like too much stuff, but that's primarily because I want to be more mobile right now too with my life
Yeah.
as well. Because I liked a lot of the things I had, but it's just like sometimes, like we're working to have these things that we never even use. So that's why I'm like, all right, maybe I need to change my perspective a little bit.
To change your question a little bit,
Yeah.
what is our purpose in life? What did God put us here on earth for? And I don't know, but I think one of the things is just to appreciate what you've got,
Yeah.
to appreciate the beautiful weather that we're having
That's
here.
funny. That leads me to the next one.
All right, okay, go ahead.
What are 3 things you're thankful for in life?
Oh, God. I've, at the end of my life, which it's getting pretty close to now, I am so thankful that, first of all, everything turned out okay,
Yeah.
which is surprising as hell. Secondly, I didn't fuck up. I had plenty of opportunities, to get involved with a student, and we've had plenty of that.
Yeah.
You saw some of that at UTSA over the years, and I'm thankful for that, and just for the fact that I'm in a pretty good position right now. Everything turned out okay. everything that I ever wanted. When I was in Michigan and it had been cloudy and gray and 0 degrees for 3 months, and I said, I'm getting out of here. I want to go to some place that's warm. Hey, man, I've got that now. And I've got one wife. I haven't gone through a number of wives, and we've had a good relationship. I've got one kid, got her through school. She's got a good career. How much more can a person ask for than all of these things?
Yeah.
I had a good career, and particularly at the end of it, everything seemed to turn out well, and I got my name on the wall, and, so I'm thankful for all of that stuff.
You did it. Yeah, man.
Okay.
All right. The next one, who is one person you would want to forgive in your life? And vice versa, like who would you want to forgive you? And if you can, why? I mean, like what? Can you say the thing,
Who do I want to forgive?
Yeah.
I don't recall anybody who's offended me to the point where I needed to forgive them. And I can't really answer that.
Mm.
And who do I want to forgive me?
Yeah.
I'll have to be honest with you on this. I have a lot of things that I've done in my life which are not illegal, not necessarily immoral, but just stupid.
Yeah.
And they come back at me, and I honestly shudder like this when I think of them. I mean, how many other people, when I was 12 years old, I had a crush on Mary Kay Westrope, who's now dead. But I had a crush on her, and she had a birthday party, so I invited myself to her birthday party. And I went up to the door, and she said, no, you can't come in. So
this was you at 12?
Yeah.
Damn, but you know what? I think that's like so much more balls than I would have had. I'm like, man, that's good. See, you had the confidence in you that young.
I didn't have the confidence in me. I was just stupid.
Well, you still did it.
Yeah,
that doesn't hurt nobody.
There are just literally hundreds of things that have been social ineptitudes, or things like that I still shudder at and hope that people have not remembered, and I think probably they haven't. Yeah. But I've got a good memory for stuff like that.
We never forget our wrongs.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
So I hope they just don't remember. I don't really want to be forgiven. I don't like the idea that you have to be forgiven for something. I'm more like John Wayne. If that's the case, you shouldn't have done it in the first damn place. So
classic right there.
Okay. So yeah, those are my answers to that, as honestly as I can be. What are some of the other stupid things that I've done? God.
I'm gonna let you keep going if you want to. Like before I go on.
I mean, I can tell you about the time that they built the new swimming pool. On adjoining our high school, which I lived a block and a half away from it, and they still hadn't opened it up, but it was the middle of winter. So my friend and I, Don Patterson and I, decided we were going to go swimming. So we broke into the building and went skinny dipping in this new pool. Now somebody's going to find out about that and say Sebald went skinny dipping in the new pool. God. Oh, there are just tons of instances like that. And to you, they don't seem like
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I still haven't done that either, and I don't know if I ever will. I mean, I can barely swim, so doing it naked is just like...
Well,
I can't swim, actually. I'm talking about barely. I can't.
Do you? I mean, do you have... You don't have to relate these things, but don't you have times in your life that you wish, oh, God, why did I do that?
But primarily, there's a bunch. I'm sure there's a bunch, but honestly, I'm kind of obsessed more with, like, myself. In the sense that, like, there's a lot of things that I think that I've done to maybe hurt myself.
No.
Or there's been, like, physical or just, like, just anything. Like, in that, if I was always on my side, where would I be on my life? Instead of, like, versus, like, maybe choosing short-term gratifications that, hurt me in the long term, because you're thinking so short-sighted sometimes,
Yeah, but again, I would say don't think of it that way because life is an experience of
Yeah, yeah.
all sorts of different levels.
But
And
not all of them were good. So that's why,
yeah, well,
that's
that's
why I
part of
say
it.
that.
That's part of it too.
But yeah, no. But yeah, I'm trying to just more align myself in that aspect because I just feel like I would be 10 times the person if I was just always on my side.
And if you had studied violin since you were 5 years old and never made a mistake, you would be a violin virtuoso
But
today.
if I had studied violin, man, I don't know if I would be creative. That was my
you'd be
one
able to
thing.
play violin.
Yeah, I would be. But that was my one thing. I guess I went to that whole little world, that music department. I think I hung out there looking for other creative people, and I quickly realized, like, oh, it's only like 5. It's only
Do you ever see on YouTube these little 5-year-old Korean kids who are already playing guitar at a professional level or playing piano, playing
Yeah, yeah.
Bach and Beethoven at a professional level? That kind of reminds me of training a chimpanzee. And what good is it really? And are they ever going to have a good life? I hope so.
Yeah, because it's like, do they even want it? Do they even
Yeah.
like it? You know?
I saw, speaking of which, just the other day, they had the Texas Bandmasters Association meeting downtown, and one of the bands that I've just been enamored of for years and years, and a band in Japan, where they literally teach the kids to play this note, and and they're professional musicians by the time they get into high school. And they were here
Yeah.
at TBA, and they actually played a goodbye concert out at the high school about 2-3 miles away from here, and I went to hear them, and it was fun to hear that kind of music played by that age of students.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Did they look like they enjoyed themselves?
yes, actually they did. They seemed like normal kids.
Okay.
The first band I ever saw that I wondered about that was Eddie Green's band from Dallas, Texas, and I saw him up in Chicago 40 years ago. And honest to God, my jaw just dropped when I heard them playing. But then I began to realize that, the band director could have dropped dead on the stage and they
they'd
would have
still be
continued
fine.
to play.
Yeah.
So
He made the perfect.
yeah, they were very perfectionist.
Yeah.
But maybe my opinions might be all wrong too. In any case, getting back on topic, that I think life needs to be a bunch of different experiences. Otherwise, you won't grow. I mean, if you don't have bad experiences and learn from them.
I mean, I think that's completely true too, and I feel like I don't think I understood that till I think I started maybe traveling a bit more.
Yeah.
Because then that started opening my eyes, and I'm like, oh yeah, that just kind of makes you a different person. That's one of the reasons why I think I don't want to come back, because I feel like when I went traveling last year, I did it for 2 months, just driving around my car in America, mostly the West Coast, but still I was just, doing that. And I felt like I was a different person, and I came back, and I feel like I only stayed that person for a few weeks, and I kind of reverted to a lot of old habits that I kind of had given up, And so...
Well, speaking of branching out, and I mean, I was the best damn band director in the state of Michigan.
Never forget.
A son of a bitch band director, the kind of band director that kicked kids across the field. Literally, I mean, I did that on occasion.
Damn.
And a real SOB type band director.
The dojo, I guess.
Well, yeah, you could kind of compare it to that. And I'm not like that anymore, as William Money says. I ain't that kind of guy anymore. Hey, I got married.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that happened particularly, but I think that had a lot to do with turning me into a different type of better person. Having a kid does the same thing. That's part of the life experience too, which you should think about one of these days.
Well, I gotta think about the girl first. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
okay. Well,
I guess I could skip and just adopt someone, but I mean, but yeah.
Or I mean, that's part of life's experience, and not everybody does it. My brother never got married, and he seems to have a fairly decent life.
I don't know if the kids thing, and that, you never know. You change as you go, but I don't know if the kid thing is on my radar. But that's primarily, I'm thinking that way because, I want to do stuff, and I feel like I haven't done the stuff yet. I'm not against the idea of having, a partner, to do it with, because I feel like, can probably like support each other, you know,
Yeah.
like doing that. But I
I
don't
think
know
that's part
about.
of it.
But I feel like once you get a kid, I feel like you need to change your priorities to some degree, you know.
Yeah.
So that
and
one
you do.
kind of scares me. So
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah. I was lucky and married a person who was rather similar to me, both teachers. She was in the arts. She was a theater director, tech theater. I'm tech music. So we got along pretty well. And,
How did that happen? How did y'all meet?
how did we meet? I can tell you exactly how we met. She had a flat tire
Oh,
at school,
you were the hero.
and yeah, I helped her change her damn tire. 2 weeks later, my Chevrolet Vega, the transmission fell out on it on the highway, and I didn't have anybody to call, so I called her, and she came and got me, and then just kind of went from there.
Oh man.
Didn't have anything to do with falling madly in love with somebody, because I've done that in the past too.
Okay.
Becoming infatuated with somebody, finding out they were married, so you can't get into that. But that's how we got attracted to each other and eventually married, and it seems to have been a pretty productive and good marriage.
So shout out to cars that don't work. Because they brought you.
If you could find a Chevrolet Vega, and you don't remember those things, but they were one of the ones that they were talking about back in the days when they said, "Don't buy a car manufactured on Monday, because the guy will be hungover who manufactured it." And when I actually took the thing in finally to trade it in on a Ford Granada or something like that, the guy said, "Well, when did you have the engine replaced?" I mean, thinking because that was the tradition at that point.
Yeah.
If you had a car that lasted for 60,000 miles, that was a damn good car back then. And I guess I treated mine fairly well. I started teaching, actually, and didn't have a car. I had a motorcycle, drove to school on a motorcycle in Michigan. And the kids loved me for that. The junior high school kids really thought I was cool.
You're like the rebel.
Yeah. Although you would have to have seen me to laugh at that statement, because in Michigan, you have to put on long johns, your normal clothes,
cold,
a
right?
snowsuit,
Yeah.
and then a rubberized canvas suit on top of it. So you're walking around like this,
Man,
and
that
can
makes
just
sense.
barely get your hands on the steering wheels.
But it makes sense because it's probably cold, and then now that
colder
you're
now.
riding with no cover,
Yeah.
it's gonna be colder. You know?
Yeah. Well,
you need
I
that
started
armor.
that way. It didn't last very long, but I can consider myself to be a rebel.
There
because
you
of
go.
that.
Well, you kicked students, right? I mean, hey,
That's what you did back then.
I guess.
Honest to God. That was the Bill Ravelli tradition of, okay, we're going to make this band perfect. I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to have you play this particular passage. Next guy. Okay, change seats. Next guy. That's the way they did bands back then.
I guess if you stuck with music, you at least know you really like that thing. Like I suffer for it, literally.
I still remember all the kids, though, and they remember me, and we correspond quite often.
Yeah,
even the
I
ones
see you
that
post pics on Facebook, old students, like
Yeah.
It's crazy. You're usually the 360 camera you use on that.
And they're all retired now, or dead.
Oh man.
My first drum major, who always looked older than me, is now dead. Died of old age. One of the guys that I was just talking about, this kid that played first trumpet for me and became a very famous band director in Michigan, and his son actually went and played trumpet too and wound up in the New York Philharmonic. He retired before I did. So I'm going to kind of enjoy the rest of my life. I'm not going to work so damn hard.
So, all right, that's a perfect transition to the next one. Because the next one is where you see yourself in 3 years.
In 3 years? 3 years. Well, actually, I don't see myself dead in 3 years. At least I hope not. They say now that if you live till 70 in pretty good health, which I am, I got diabetes, but everybody has that. If you're in pretty good health, your chances are 50-50 to living till 100.
Oh, wow.
So I'm,
Do you want to make 100? Or?
No, not particularly. My stepmother just died, and she died because she wanted to die. She was 93 years old and said basically, shit, I don't want to put up with this anymore. you get sick, you break your hip, the next month you get sick again, and you get cancer, and you got to cure that. And she said, "Oh, to hell with that,"
Yeah,
and just basically gave up and went into what do they call those places? The rest home where you die. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what she did.
The pillars in my life are starting to get old now too. Like, I lost my father in Texas, but like to cancer. But like,
Oh, really?
he was 60 something.
Yeah.
Not him dying worked out well, but it worked out well because when I first got here, because of my New Yorkness, maybe I didn't make friends.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like I got to know him for the second time because he moved out here just because I was out here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he moved out a week later. He's like, "Yeah, dude, I can't be
Where
in
did
New
he
York."
move to San Antonio?
Yeah, just literally
Probably
moving
there.
to the next apartment in the same complex because he
Okay.
just wanted to be around me, you know.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't. He said, "Yeah, like it sucks being."
What did he do?
He was retired at that time too, because they had me old. Like they had me both in their 45s.
What did he do before that?
His last job, I guess, when I'm like alive and aware, is he was the handyman for the church.
Okay.
And he also did the choir as well, the Spanish
really?
choir. Yeah.
Huh.
So he was their music guy, but he was their everything guy.
Okay.
No matter what was broken, somehow he knew how to fix it.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
In the younger days before me, he was like a top tier mechanic though. I would hear stories of him just taking apart any engine and then putting it back his own, like just for fun, and stuff. Yeah, and he told me his musical stories too of like how they played in Puerto Rico with not
Was
the
he
greatest.
from Puerto Rico?
Yeah. Both my parents were like actually in the island, like at least for the younger part of their life.
Cool.
And I think weirdly enough, or maybe not weirdly enough, because I feel like they both had the same last name, but I think that name comes later. So it's not as weird as I was gonna say, because we did have a different name. But he would just tell me still playing guitar, but you're playing maybe not the best guitar, or like still finding ways to play with broken strings.
Sure.
Yeah, just somehow just tying them together. He wanted to teach me guitar when I was young, and because I had even as a damn kid, I had the New York mentality. So who knows how young I am? Like, let's say 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
But you're growing up in the hip hop culture, so I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what am I gonna do with this thing?
Yeah.
Fast forward, that's my first instrument, right? What am I gonna do with this thing? Right?
Yeah.
But anyway, what I'm gonna do with this thing? So I just never learned. He gave up on teaching me. But I kind of wish I learned then, because he would have taught me his style, and his style, was like the thumbs are. He would play with the little thumb pick, and the thumbs were the bass, and the bottom would be the melody. So which I guess is maybe closer to classical, but of course he's playing Spanish.
Yeah.
But I never learned that. I learned like a normal person with a pick, when we did get here, so I begged him to teach me. I had to beg him because he was like, dude, I'm old now. I'm not teaching you. But I poked him every day, and he taught me. But but again, like by that point, I'm learning different. So I did learn more normal, and we would just jam together until he was gone,
Cool.
That's how I got started in the beginning.
See, I never knew that your parents were here when you were in college. I always just thought of you as some kind of a loner that came in off the street.
I was a loner at school, but then I would just go home, and then I'd just be alone with the internet. But I had my mom I was living with my mom, and then when I would go out, I'd go to hang out with my dad, and we'd just hang out. But but no, I was alluding to like my mom's 75-ish, I believe. I've always been bad with the numbers. I'm sorry, but and then my aunt is over 80, and I'm like. And she's here now, but she's just visiting. She still lives in Puerto Rico, and which is cool, but also like none of us are in Puerto Rico, so that kind of sucks, You
ever have any desire to go back or not to
live
there?
I visited her. I stayed with her.
Oh, yeah?
That was my graduation gift from my sister.
Oh, that's cool.
And we
Did you
stayed
like
in.
it?
I liked it, but it's different. She lives in the middle of the island called Caguas.
Okay.
And they speak a different Spanish because you need to be able to speak 2 to 3 times faster,
Yeah. Is it in the mountains? The
No, not her. Not her.
Okay.
It's a town. But if you go to like San Juan, well that's your city for everything, So that definitely feels like the tourist part, like any other city, and you can survive off of English. Once you leave that, you probably need to know the language though.
Yeah.
It's like I have ideas of like it'd be cool to go there because I would love to learn Spanish for real.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at it from a macro level, the economy there is probably not the best. I have no contacts there either, so I'd be starting from a different bottom. It'd be more for like, man, I really want to be in this environment or something.
I, that's getting back to kind of our topics. I would
Yeah.
like to travel, and I think I've got the money to do it, although it's pretty damned expensive to travel anymore.
Well, it depends what you want. Like, it depends what you're doing. Cause like me, like if I travel, I'm going and I'm seeing stuff. But if you're to travel and you want to go see Disney World and stuff, well, that might be more expensive.
Well, I've got to, that's kind of an obligation. I've got a granddaughter, and I've got to take the granddaughter to Disney.
So yeah,
but as for me, hell, I've taken bands to Disneyland, and when I was younger, I traveled an awful lot, but it was always with the band in tow. I took my band to Mexico, bands to Europe, Greece, Yugoslavia, North Africa, the Greek islands. And just all these different places. And that was when I was young. And I haven't done that since I stopped being a full-time high school band director. And I'm kind of glad. I mean, one of the reasons I moved down here was just to have this different ambience and the beautiful colors and different kind of cultures all mixing together down here. And feeling fairly safe because I'm German, and there are a hell of a lot of Germans around here, too. I haven't had the real need to travel, although I still would like to. I'd like to go to the Caribbean.
You should go,
Puerto Rico. My son-in-law, John Reed is his name, and he's Cuban. I don't know how my daughter married a Cuban, but I'd kind of like to go explore Cuba someday, too.
I had a friend he's still my friend. I talk to him almost every day, but he's in New York, but he's Cuban, and he went to Cuba during the era when the embargo was still up. You know?
Really?
Yeah, where you have to try to go to Cuba.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's... I remember Obama took it off, but now I don't know how that is. That relationship
I don't know
is
what
so
they're
weird.
do.
But man, he showed me some pictures, man, and it looks like time travel. But this was a few years ago. I bet you it's still kind of time travel anyway.
I think so.
But man, even things like the buses, like those look like from another lifetime. Those look like textbook stuff I would read about in a textbook. Like, no, they're still using it, you know? Mm-hmm. Internet is still like a...
That's because of the embargo is still basically on. But I'd like to get over there and buy a Cuban cigar. I think that would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And India, I've got some kids, some doctoral student over there who contacted me about 10 years ago and was very interested in teaching music technology in traditional Hindu music.
Oh, wow.
Which I thought was interesting. So we corresponded for a while, and I've kind of followed her since then. And I'd like to go over to India just to see her. I don't want to stay there.
Yeah.
Because it'd be hot and smelly, and I'd probably get dysentery. But it would be kind of fun to go there. China, man. I'd like to see China.
I'd entertained the thought of teaching in Shanghai. I actually spoke with someone. It would be English, of course, but I spoke with someone about it in great detail, like what are the steps and everything.
Yeah.
Because, China is on the rise and all that.
Oh,
and I just, at that point, and even now to some degree, but I was more desperate back then. I needed something to do, and I just didn't want to do it here,
Well,
so
you can do that. I've had a lot of acquaintances
Yeah.
who have gone to teach over there. The woman that I'm working with in UNCG, I'm doing all the media for her violin textbook, spends her summers there teaching general music.
Okay.
And doesn't speak Chinese,
Yeah, you said you
because
don't
they
need it.
expect the
Yeah.
kids to speak English.
Yeah.
So, I'd love to do that.
He said
And one of your predecessors, Jeremy Hyatt, who worked in the lab, 25 years ago, decided kind of the same thing you did, went to Japan, and he's still there. He just loves Japan.
The lab is, man, 25 years ago, the lab had a time.
God. Who else do you remember from the lab? The kid with 3 names.
Workers or no?
Yeah.
Oh, if you're talking just people who work there, I guess I come with Jesus as well. Remember Jesus?
Yeah, I remember Jesus.
He disappeared, man.
Yeah.
He would come in and out of social media, and the last I heard of him, he was in the East Coast. This is many years ago, so this is probably not even present. But he was in the East Coast, working some type of, I don't want to say coal mining, but it seemed like something of that illusion, like whether it's oil or coal or some type of thing. And that was it. And then he disappeared from media again, so I haven't heard him.
Well, the kid who was from one of those little countries around Saudi Arabia, he wasn't from there, but his parents worked there. 3 names, and I can't remember what they all
I think
are.
I knew this person.
But he was about of your vintage.
He didn't work there though. He maybe came through the lab, but because I knew all the workers. At
Jose Riojas. No, that wasn't his name. I don't know.
Other people who worked. I still keep in contact with Tomas.
With who?
Tomas.
Tomas. Yeah, Tomas.
Yeah.
Is the one.
Oh,
Tomas.
is he? Is he?
Yeah. Tomas.
Oh, yeah. He does
3
have
names.
relations there. Oh, okay. Tomas Julio, the other one. No, is that the other name? I mean,
Yeah.
Tomas Julio, because the email is
Salazar. Or something like that.
That's his name.
Yeah.
I still keep in. It's only this year where we finally maybe stopped talking less, but other than that, like I've always talked to him a lot, and he still does. He's one of the people who still has the dream. I think so. He told me he wants to move to LA, which surprised me because he went last year and he hated it, and I was like, "Why are you going?" Because me, I don't hate it. I think I like San Francisco more, but I don't. But anyway, he hated it. He's like, the people were horrible, everything was bad, it sucks. And I was like, so why you want to go? He's like, look, man, if that's what I got to do to make it, I'm gonna go. So he's like hasn't given up on the dream at all. He would definitely wants to be like the artist, and he might get there. Like he made his strides in Austin, but again, it's like local. It's just local famous. So like he'll open for a certain venue. It's a real great venue, the Empire. When people of that genre play there who are famous, he's one of the openers all the time, pretty much.
Good.
But I mean, like, that's not enough. He wants to be the guy. He wants to make a living because he still has to work. He did the Apple transition recently.
What's that?
So
mean?
now he works at Apple. I guess.
Oh,
I should have just said that. But he works at Apple now because they're very good with their workers in the sense that. You want to work at any other store, just tell us and we'll make it happen eventually. So that's going to be his LA. My LA is going to be more like I'm going to drive there and whatever. More dangerous is my idea, but whatever. That
was one of my dreams too, frankly, when I was first starting out, just looking at all the jobs around LA, and God, I'm glad I didn't get one of them. I'm also glad, I interviewed for a lot of high school jobs down here.
Yeah.
And God, I'm glad I didn't get one. Everything has turned out just
It
really
worked out
well
fine, yeah.
for me. I mean, the path, which somebody must be guiding me on this path. At least I feel that way.
So that leads to the next one then. What is the perfect day for you?
The perfect day for me, getting something accomplished. I don't care what it is, and if I can get numerous things accomplished, I feel much better about it. The idea of just sitting around and just enjoying retirement, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I want to do things still. I want to accomplish something every day. Little things, Go to the gym. I still go to the gym and work out. Still pump iron. Mostly machines now.
I love that. Still pump iron. Still got the mental. You still got the gym mental.
Well, Arnold still pumps iron, and by God, I look better than Arnold now.
Hey, to each their own, right?
Well, I haven't seen him with his shirt off in the last 5 years. But after I saw some of those pictures when he was governor, he was going downhill pretty fast. But what does he care? He's rich. What is a perfect day? Just being here, enjoying something, saying hello to a rock, appreciating its place in the world, and that kind of stuff.
All right. And then the last one from this one is, I guess, where did the will, like, to continue or to carry on come from? Did it come from, like, a higher power? Did it come from within with you? Like what was it that kept you going all those years?
Keep me going in what? I mean, I had to do something.
This is the hardest question that I've had a hard time flipping into a question. So
all right,
it is the most vague. It is.
Yeah, let me see if I can answer something
see if
at
I can
least
make it better.
Tangentially to that. What is it that keeps? What is the question again? What is it that keeps me going?
Like where did it came from? Because again, where did it come from for you? Like you just alluded to being like guided from above maybe. So like, I guess what took you to what helped you on that path? Like was it self-belief? Was it faith? You know, like
Yeah, I'm not a church-going person, but I do heavily believe in God or some kind of higher power that keeps us going and wants us to enjoy life. At least that's my philosophy of it. Keeps me going. I think I had a pretty darn good upbringing. Some, some problems along the way. My parents got divorced, and I flunked out of student teaching. Did you know that I flunked
No.
student teaching because my parents were going through a divorce, and I was being a son of a bitch band director at the time. Swore at a student who I shouldn't
man.
have sworn at because his father was on the school board. So, aside from that, I did have a good upbringing that expected me to go to college. I wasn't one of these first generation people. Everybody in my family for 3-4 generations back had gone to college, and it was just expected of me to get a profession of some kind. My father wanted me to be a lawyer, so I disappointed him in that. I said, well, I'm going to go into music, Dad. And he said, well, okay, at least you'll have your music, which at the time I thought, well, that was a nice thing to say. But what he was really saying was, you're not going to make it, kid. And so that my early upbringing motivated me to go on, to not give up at things, to succeed in whatever it was that I wanted to do at that particular time. And then, if you get far enough along, then change your mind, do something else if you want to. If you want to get into visual media rather than oral media, fine, go ahead and do it. So that's kept me going. And I don't really trace it all to myself. It's your upbringing that does that. And higher power, maybe. I mean, I do think that there's something up there that has guided me right, that when I was like 7 years old and ran out in front of a car, and the car actually stopped and didn't run over me and kill me at the time, somebody did that for me. Or some of the other things, stupid things that I've done. Okay. Is that enough of an answer?
Yeah. No,
okay.
that was good. The upbringing stuff was real good. And then here's the last one. This one's called I Like, I Wish, I Wonder. I like that I did. I wish I had done. I wonder what would have happened if.
I like the career that I've had. It's been quite good. I don't regret anything to the point where I wish I had done something different. I could say, hey, I'd like to have been a professional bodybuilder.
Was that a thing, like, at all?
When I was younger, yeah.
Okay.
I never competed.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
I was really deeply into bodybuilding.
Okay.
And in my early career.
Yeah, I meant just the idea of being a professional, though. Like.
Yeah, no, I don't think I ever. Nah, that wasn't really something that I wanted to do to the point that I miss it. If you look at somebody who is completely driven, somebody like Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
if he hadn't succeeded in that, what would he be? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. But there's a guy who just had so much drive to succeed. Whatever he did, he would have been successful in. I never had that drive to really want to be the best at anything, even though I was the best band director in Michigan.
That's why you didn't have to drive. It was just you were the best. That's you're like, this is easy. I don't get what everyone's talking about.
No, I'm very happy with the way things have turned out at this point in my career. I've had frustrations, and then the typical things with your superiors, where they just don't get along with them. But, when you're in a certain situation and you're working for somebody, that implies the fact that you're going to do what that person wants you to do if you're making money from that person. So you don't become an asshole at it. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, no, it works.
Okay.
So you usually, I interview
I'm
a lot
happy
of.
with where I am now.
Oh yeah, no, I know. Usually since I interview a lot of artists, usually this is the part where they like say where they can find them. I don't know if you want anyone to find you online. Do you? Do you want to?
No, my artistic creations,
Yeah.
such as I have all been done for educational purposes.
Yeah.
You know, I did that rap.
No,
You've
I
heard
saw.
my rap.
Yeah, many
it's
times.
awesome.
Many times. Many times.
But I did it. You know, it took me several months to actually put that thing together.
Rap's
But
hard now. Now that I've done it too, I can attest.
Yeah, and I did it for the educational purposes, and just to say, for the fun of it, I did that. And everything that I've done artistically has been primarily for that goal. I have performed quite a bit too, and basically those have been demonstration performances. Hey, you guys have never seen an instrument like this WX5 where you can sound like anything you want. You don't have to sound like a clarinet.
Yeah.
You can turn the switch and sound like a trumpet or a guitar or a xylophone. So they've been demonstration performances. The artistic side of me, you know, I wish I could say that I had real originality and that kind of stuff, but I don't really at this point. Maybe when I was younger, I did. I just do short form stuff. You can consider that cartoon that you saw on the web an artistic expression.
Or any of those like online for the public to see then, I guess?
Oh,
or
yeah.
no?
Yeah. I mean, they're on my Facebook page.
Okay.
I don't have anything else.
Okay. All right.
I
Well, that
don't.
was it.
I've got SoundCloud, but I never use it.
And now most of the world is probably not because it's going to go bankrupt.
Yeah. Well, they've
Unfortunately.
been going to go bankrupt for years. I don't know what to think about that.
Yeah.
Although sometimes I can't get on them. Facebook is around for the foreseeable future, but not everybody is on it. There's a certain cadre of people.
Well, but Facebook is profitable. Like, so they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Google is profitable. Apple is profitable. SoundCloud never made the cut, and that's
Yeah.
why they're on this thing. Like a lot of these startups, you know, it's great what they do. Even the mighty Uber, I believe, is still not profitable.
Well, I think you're right about
so
that.
a lot of people forget businesses need to make money. You know, like
Yeah.
they just like, look what we do. Give me money. You know, they're just
Yeah.
VCs, venture capitalism. You know, which
Yeah.
is nice. It helps all of our lives, but then in the long term, you know, how do you
I'm
sustain?
a big believer in capitalism. I think you should make money at what you do.
Yeah.
And Stravinsky was the same way, a very creative guy, but he made money at what
Yeah.
he did. And so was Charles Ives. He was fairly rich, selling insurance, actually.
Yeah. He's one of the. I guess I don't know. Like as long as he was happy, but it just seems like the sad story because it doesn't happen for him after. You know.
Yeah.
Till
Well,
after, but
yeah. Art for art's sake, yeah, I can see it, but I don't want to be that person. I want to, because again, there are many other things in life that are more important to me than being a creative artist, being a productive person, having a nice family, having achieved a fairly decent state of life where I don't have to worry about finances anymore. I make more money now than I did when I was teaching. And I didn't do badly then either. And now I don't have any expenses. The house is all paid for. Everything is, I don't want a new car, you know. That's all paid for. So what do? I go out and spend $5,000 on video equipment just because it's a hobby or anything else. There's a new video editing program, which you should look at because it combines this. It's like a combination of Premiere and After Effects in one program. And
What's
the
it
most
called?
expensive it is $350 for the whole thing if you want the pro version. But you can get the lesser version, the express version, which is 95% of the pro version for nothing.
But what's it called?
It's called Hit Film, and I'm just exploring it right now. It's got all the effects you could possibly want. If you want to do titling, if you want to do gunshots, if you want to do...
Hit Film?
Yeah,
Okay.
Hit Film. Go look at it.
I'll check it out.
It's cool. But, you know, I could tell you about a whole bunch of other things. I just saw that one. I probably told you already that I fell in love with a program similar to that, an animation program called iClone. And I liked it so much, I had to buy it. But unfortunately, it was only for PC. They didn't have a Mac version of it. So I went out and spent $3,500 on the fanciest PC I could get. And then I spent $500 on that monitor. And now I can run all those programs. I've got that monitor attached to both my machines, the Mac and the PC.
Damn.
And can rock back and forth and swing both ways.
There you go.
As they say.
There you go.
HitFilm, though. HitFilm is available for both PC and Mac and Linux if you're into that kind of stuff.
If I'm using Linux, which happens occasionally, it's usually because things are not going well. Like, I don't use it on purpose. I'm not that guy.
Well,
but yeah.
Get HitFilm Express
Yeah,
and learn how to use it. And you'll, if you want to do things, not just regular editing, like Final Cut can do and Premiere can do, but all of the After Effects kind of stuff that you might want to do. Fancy stuff. It's all built in. Even in the Express free version.
All right. Well, that might be the last words, but you have any last words?
No. What time is it? How long have we gone with this?
We've gone 2 hours. So
God.
But that's
you're going to put this up and people are going to look at the first 10 minutes of it and say, Jesus, this is boring.
Yeah, but the people who know you, they won't. Because I do have people who listen. Like, there are,
Really? Okay.
I'm surprised, too. I'm surprised.
You're good.
All right, here, Sarah. We'll end it with this. This is a fact. I'm confident 100% because I get feedback. More people hear these podcasts I do than ever heard my music.
Okay.
Which is crazy, but it's true.
Well, you might have a new career here.
Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, man. Thank you for doing it.
Do you know who Leo Laporte is?
Yes, he's always teaching.
Yeah.
He used to do the screensavers many years ago.
Right, yeah. Did you actually see that program?
Yes, I did.
I'll be damned. Well, yeah, but then he got he got fired from the radio station that he was doing that on because some guy named Rush Limbaugh came along and took his spot away from him.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, he said, "Oh, the hell with this! I'm gonna start my own studio," and so he did, and now he does nothing but podcasts all the time. And the guy's getting rich doing this kind of stuff.
Because he's always been just like you, but for music, education and tech, he's always been like forward anyway. So he was doing a lot of these things before. So the idea of something like the screensavers, especially in Inception, was no one was doing that. Now a lot of people have variations on that, especially with YouTube there,
But he's still at the head of the
he's
crowd.
always talking about, anytime there's a tech conference or something gets announced, anything, he's always there. Yeah, he'll probably be doing that, till the end, So
he's getting pretty old now. Maybe you can take over for him.
Hey, man, why not? Sure. Maybe you'd be one of the people I meet in L.A.
Yeah. You got to be brash to do the kind of thing that you're doing. But hey, that's you. So.
Compliment. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. But yeah, that's it.
This has been fun. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you for coming on. Pretty much anyone who has anything to do with UTSA was looking forward to this. So they're going to hear it. People are going to hear this one. Anybody, people who you don't remember are like, God, really?
They're going to listen to this for 2 hours, huh?
Yeah, maybe even Kevin Wong. He probably doesn't have 2 hours, but he might hear it.
Well, if you see anybody that I know, let me know that they're listening to it.
Yeah, I'll give this to Ralph and everybody.
I'm going
to give this to Jonathan. I'm going to give this to all of them.
If you, if you want to give me the posting where you're going to put this, the URL, I'm going to put it on my Facebook page too.
Yeah, it'll be on my YouTube. It'll be like Bushman Staff, but I can give you the final video if you want it too.
No, I don't want to post it up there.
Okay.
I just want to link to it.
Yeah. No, I'll give it to you. I don't know the actual link because they make one for every video. But
what format are you doing? 1920 by 1080 or what?
Yeah, this is 1080 and who knows how many frames. It might just be 30 for this one. But yeah. Okay. But if I had the real man camera, we would be doing 4K.
You like that thing?
Yes. I wish I had the newer one because then it would be better. But it's great because it's great for this. Look at you'll see the view.
Well, I'd like to put one on my helmet, and go bicycling around or walking in the forest, something like that. But
and they're great in the daytime. They're all really bad at night though, which is why I have the other camera. But they're all in daytime. Almost everything looks pristine, pretty much. But yeah, that's it.
Well,
thank you for doing it.
Yeah, you bet.
Bake that chicken, smoke that turkey. Boosh.
Nah, let me stop. I remember you, Leon, and me went to Whitestone to see a classic movie to be, but too young were we for Bruce Willis story. Still your best, I'm nice, sorry. Sixth Sense was the movie, but as kids it was poopy. We all young, so we don't pay rent. Means extra money to spend. That being said, we too cheap to take a bus. We walk over there, we don't give a fuck.